responsive.
First off, I would like to say thank you for coming to our campus. My question is, how do you think the youth today can help live out Rachel's legacy?
Oh, wow. I think the question is, how can youth today help to live out Rachel's legacy? I'm really encouraged by youth right now, and this campus is certainly a place to draw a lot of encouragement from what we saw happening today. I told the group, the Muslim Student Association, I wish we could clone them and the wall that they have and take it to... walls like this on campuses all across the United States until the wall that is in the West Bank, all the walls could come down. But certainly the one that's in the West Bank and is on Palestinian, clearly not on the Green Line. It would be wonderful if we had this happening, just to bring attention. I think you're doing a great job here. I think of my kids. I have 3 kids. My son is the oldest. My daughter Sarah, Rachel was the youngest. I think that our experience in the last 8 years with the war in Iraq and so forth has, we've entered a period where again youth are looking at the world and knowing that you have to do more than just come to school and think about how you're going to earn a living the rest of your life and so forth. And what I want to, I guess my message to you is, you still have to worry about how you're going to make a living, how you're going to have fun, how you're going to take care of your families and so forth. But I think, I hope that the message is coming through loud and clear that you also have to think what you can do to make the world a better place, and that each of us can take steps. We don't all have to go to Gaza to do what Rachel did, but we can all take steps, and I have a lot of confidence that this generation understands that.
Once again, thank you for coming. Truly a blessing to hear you guys speak about your experiences after Rachel passed, and then talking about Rachel's story. Going back to what you were mentioning about getting our hands dirty, and this is kind of taking the question of Rachel's legacy and taking it a step further. What specific examples have you seen other campuses, other organizations throughout your visits across the world take, by getting their hands dirty? What are some specific examples? And then taking that to the next level, what would you suggest? Thank you.
Are you going to let me go? Okay, let me take it a little bit further, although I think these are very individual decisions that people have to make. With Rachel and also with other young people, after Rachel was killed, I actually got a letter from a mother in Houston, Texas. And she said she wrote to me because she thought I was maybe the person who could most understand what she was feeling and could best advise her, because her 18-year-old son wanted to go and join ISM in the West Bank and Gaza. And what I wrote to her and said is that, I couldn't tell her what to say to her child. I really couldn't advise her. What I could do is tell her a few things. First of all, that Rachel was older. She was 23 when she made the decision to go there, which is different than 18, I think. And she did preparation. She studied the conflict. She did a lot of work with the people that were familiar with the area, that were living in our own community. If you look at the book, you'll see about some of the meetings that she was having with people that had already spent time there. Not just young people, but Simona Sharoni, for example, who was the Israeli woman that I mentioned, who had lived there and who continues to work very hard on this issue, and other professors at school. And Rachel studied Arabic. I mean, I think your preparation for whatever you do is going to look different for each person, but I think being very, I guess I want to say, don't just react. Stop and think about the steps that you're going to take. I'll just give you an example of we meet some extraordinary people. When Rachel was killed, I knew only, at that point I knew 2 ISM people. One was Rachel, and one was a 40-year-old woman where Craig and I were living at the time in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her husband was Palestinian, and he couldn't go to Palestine. But she had 3 children, and she had gone as an ISMer for a couple of weeks in 2002. And I have to admit, you know, I would hear these things, and I wondered, who were these people, these ISMers? You know, what would I really feel about these people? Now I've had the extraordinary opportunity to meet ISM activists and other people who make these journeys to go and see through their own eyes, and they do it in different ways. They choose different groups to go with. They find groups that meet their needs. And they're extraordinary, wonderful people who know that there are people out there that are not as privileged as they are, and that one response to the kind of privilege that we have in this country is to at least go to find out what's happening and then to choose some action, I think, around it. And there are extraordinary people who are doing this work all over the place. You know, a lot of times we say the only difference between Rachel and many, many, many other young people and older people doing this is that the bulldozer didn't stop. She expected it to stop. I'll tell you one last thing, and then we'll go to another question. We have a really dear friend who we met in the old city in 2003. She had been working for Seeds of Peace at that time. She left Seeds of Peace, but she continues to go back and do work with people in Palestine. She's Jewish American. She doesn't really go around identifying herself as such, but I think it's significant that she is. She's helping to write a play about a young man who was killed at the beginning of the Intifada, Second Intifada. He was in the Galilee area when there were a lot of people who were protesting what had happened in Jerusalem. There was violence against them, and he was killed. And so she knew this boy through Seeds of Peace, knows his family, and with them she's helping to write a play about his story. She's helping to write a book, the book of another person that worked in Seeds of Peace, Palestinian, who spent a good portion of his life in prison, like many Palestinian men do. And she's helping him to write his story to help happen here, to hopefully be published here in the United States. And she's made connections to other areas like Bosnia and now more recently to the Sudan and Darfur. And so, you know, everybody has to find their path, but there are extraordinary people who do that by connecting with other people who are doing the work.
When you showed the series of maps from historic Palestine to Israel again, Israel, it reminded me of the Native Americans. I've seen a similar map. So certainly some action must be taken, or else they're going to be the same fate. You've asked the Israeli government for assistance or to take action. You've asked the American government to take action. Have you asked any of the Arab governments to take action? Because their lack of action is very unfortunate. I have another question. You explicitly said that it was basically American funds that paid for that contributed for your daughter's passing. One could argue that you living here and paying taxes is also contributing to more deaths in Palestine. Have you given any thought to possibly